Obi knelt in the dirt. He scrubbed a muddy tire. Stella held a dirty bucket. The car door opened. A young man stepped out. Same face as Obi. Cold eyes. Royal Ankara. Obi dropped his sponge. The boy looked down slow. You threw our mother in the mud. Now, clean our tires. Obi's whole body shook. Stay with me. This story will break your heart. 15 years ago, life was simple. Ngozi had one small room, one old sewing machine, one big dream. She woke up before the sun every day. She sat at her old machine. The machine made a loud clicking sound all night. Click, click, click. That sound was her only music. She sewed and sewed. Her fingers moved fast on the torn cloth. Up and down went the needle. All day long, she made dresses for market women. She made uniforms for school children. She made baby clothes for rich women. Every small coin she earned, she gave to Obi. Take it, she said. Build your business. I trust you. Obi had nothing then. No car, no fine clothes, no money, only Ngozi. She fed him every day. She clothed him every day. She paid his first shop rent with her own bleeding fingers. The needle cut her skin many times. Blood dropped on the fabric. She wiped it and kept working. She wrapped old cloth around her fingers and kept sewing. She never complained, not once. Her back hurt badly every night. Her eyes were red and tired. Her feet were swollen from sitting too long. But she touched her big pregnant stomach and smiled. I am doing this for my babies. I am doing this for our family. The twins kicked hard inside her. She laughed softly and rubbed her stomach. Yes, my babies. Mama is working hard for you. Then Obi's shop began to grow. One customer became 10. 10 became 100. Money started coming in fast. Obi bought a small car, then a bigger car. He moved to a better area. He wore fine shirts now. He went to big parties every weekend. He shook hands with rich men. But Ngozi stayed in the small room, still sewing, still bleeding, still trusting, still believing in Obi with her whole heart. Her stomach was now very big and heavy. Walking was painful every day. Standing up was hard. But she never stopped the machine. Not one single day. One evening, Obi came home very late. His shirt was new and expensive. He smelled of rich perfume, a perfume Ngozi did not know. She stood up slowly and smiled. Welcome home, my husband. Your food is ready. Obi did not look at her. He sat down very quiet. Ngozi touched his shoulder gently. Are you okay? He moved her hand away fast. Something was very wrong. A cold feeling hit Ngozi in her chest. Obi, please talk to me. He finally looked at her. His eyes were cold and empty, like she was nobody, like she was a stranger. Ngozi, he said low and quiet. I need to tell you something. Ngozi held her big stomach tight. Her heart beat very fast. Her hands were shaking. Obi opened his mouth slowly and said the words that would destroy her whole world. Forever. Obi looked straight at Ngozi. His eyes had no love, no warmth, no shame. I am taking a second wife, he said. Ngozi felt the room spin. What? She whispered. You heard me. Obi said. Cold. Her name is Stella. She is a banker's daughter. She is rich and educated. She comes from a big family. Ngozi held her stomach tight. Her legs felt weak. Obi, we have babies coming. Our twins are almost here. Obi stood up and fixed his fine shirt. That is your problem, Ngozi. Not mine. Ngozi felt tears burn her eyes. I gave you everything. My hands bled for you. I paid your first rent. I fed you when you had nothing. Obi did not even blink. That was then. Things are different now. I am a big man now. I need a woman who matches my level. Those words cut deep like a knife. Ngozi wiped her tears fast. I am your wife, Obi. I am carrying your children. Obi walked to the window. He did not look at her. Stella is coming this weekend. You will respect her. She is educated and clean. She knows how to behave in society. Each word was a hot slap on Ngozi's face. Ngozi sat down slowly on the old chair. The same chair she sewed on for years. The same chair that built his business. Her hands were still rough from the needle. Her fingers still had deep old scars. And this man stood before her like a stranger. Like she was nothing. Like her years of pain meant nothing at all. 3 days later, Stella arrived. She stepped out of a big black car. She wore a fine yellow dress, gold rings on every finger, long painted nails. Her perfume was sharp and strong. It filled the whole compound. She looked at the small house and hissed loudly. "This dirty place is where you lived?" she said to Obi. She looked at Ngozi slowly, up and down, like Ngozi was a piece of dirty rag on the floor. "So, this is the village woman," Stella said. Her laugh was cold and sharp like broken glass. Ngozi stood straight and said nothing. Her stomach was very big now. Her feet were swollen and painful. Her hands were rough and scarred. But she stood tall. Stella walked past her like she was invisible. She held Obi's arm tight. "Baby, when are you moving me into the big house?" Obi smiled at Stella. A warm, wide smile. The same smile he never gave Ngozi anymore. Ngozi watched them walk inside together. The strong perfume stayed in the air. It burned Ngozi's nose. She looked down at her big stomach. She whispered to her babies very soft, "Do not worry, my children. Mama will protect you." But that night, Stella pulled Obi very close. She put her cold lips to his ear and whispered something very dark. Something that would change everything. Forever. This pregnant woman built his empire with bleeding hands, and this is how he repaid her. Keep watching. That night, the sky turned very dark. Heavy black clouds covered everything. Then the rain came down hard, cold, fast, angry. It hit the roof like heavy stones. It flooded the dirty ground outside. The smell of wet mud filled the cold air. Inside the house, Stella sat close to Obi. Her sharp perfume filled the whole room. She looked at Ngozi with cold, empty eyes. "Obi," Stella said very quiet, "I cannot live with this village woman. She is dirty and she is poor. She does not belong in your life anymore." Obi said nothing. He just looked at the floor. "Get rid of her," Stella said cold. "Tonight, her and her bastard babies." Those words hit Ngozi like a heavy stone. She held her big stomach with both hands. The babies kicked hard inside her, like they could feel the danger. Ngozi looked at Obi with wet eyes. "Obi, please. I am your wife. These are your children. Please do not do this." Obi stood up slow. He did not look at her face. He walked to Ngozi. He grabbed her arm very tight. His grip was hard and cold like iron. "You have to go, Ngozi. Now. Tonight." Ngozi cried out in pain. "Obi, my stomach. Please. The babies." He pulled her toward the door. She stumbled on her swollen feet. The cold rain was loud and angry outside. Stella stood up and grabbed Ngozi's small bag. She threw it hard into the wet mud outside. Then she grabbed Ngozi's baby clothes. The small, soft clothes Ngozi had sewn with her own bleeding hands. She threw them into the rain one by one. They landed in the dirty brown mud, soaking wet, ruined forever. Obi dragged Ngozi to the big iron gate. The cold rain hit her face like sharp needles. Her wrapper was soaking wet in seconds. She could not see through her tears. "Obi, please," she begged loud. "Where will I go? I am 9 months pregnant. Please have mercy on me." Obi opened the big iron gate. The cold, wet wind rushed in hard and fast. Ngozi grabbed the gate with her weak hands. "Do not do this to me. Do not do this to your babies." Obi pulled her hands off the gate. He pushed her outside into the cold rain. Hard. The mud splashed up on her wrapper, on her face, on her big stomach. The big iron gate slammed shut like thunder. The lock clicked loud and final. Ngozi stood alone in the cold, dark rain, soaking wet, shaking, crying. The smell of wet mud was everywhere. It was in her nose. It was in her mouth. She pressed both hands on her stomach. The babies were kicking very hard now. The rain poured down on her like punishment, and then she felt it, a sharp pain, deep inside her stomach, the worst pain she had ever felt in her whole life. Ngozi fell to her knees in the mud. The pain hit her again, stronger this time. She screamed into the dark rain, but nobody heard her. The whole street was empty and black. The cold rain poured down hard. Her wrapper was heavy and soaking wet. The mud was cold and thick under her knees. She tried to stand up, but her legs would not hold her. Another pain hit her like fire. She grabbed her stomach with both hands. "Not now," she whispered. "Please, not now." But the babies did not wait. They were coming. Right now. Right here. In the cold mud and rain. Ngozi crawled forward slowly. Her hands sank deep into the wet mud. The cold was unbearable. Her teeth were shaking hard. Her whole body was shaking. She could see an old bus stop far ahead. A small, dirty shelter with a broken roof. She crawled toward it slowly. Every second the pain got worse. The mud splashed cold on her face. The rain hit her back like sharp stones. She kept crawling. She kept moving. She did not stop. Finally, she reached the old bus stop. She pulled herself inside. The ground was wet and dirty. It smelled of old rain and rotting wood. There was nobody there, just Ngozi. Alone. In the dark. In the cold. She lay down on the dirty, wet ground. She held her stomach and cried out to God. God, please help me. Please protect my babies. Then the worst pain came. It took her whole breath away. She bit her lip hard. She tasted blood in her mouth. She gripped the dirty, wet ground with both hands. And she pushed. She pushed with everything she had left. She pushed through the pain, through the cold, through the tears, through the mud. First the baby boy came. Ngozi caught him with her shaking hands. He was tiny, like a small bird. His skin was cold as the rain outside. But he cried loud and strong. That cry hit Ngozi's heart like warm light. She held him tight to her chest. I have you, my son. Mama has you. Then the second pain came, fast. The baby girl came into the cold, dark world. She was tiny too, cold and shaking like a leaf. Ngozi caught her with her last strength. She held both babies tight to her chest. She wrapped them in her wet wrapper. She used her own body warmth to keep them alive. The rain kept pouring outside. The cold wind kept blowing hard. But Ngozi held her babies and rocked them slow. Tears and rain mixed together on her face. I will never let anyone hurt you. Never. Mama will protect you with her last breath. Then she heard footsteps in the rain. Slow and heavy footsteps, coming closer and closer to the bus stop. Ngozi was too weak to even lift her head. She gave birth alone in the cold mud and rain. Now watch what those two tiny babies become. The footsteps stopped at the bus stop entrance. Ngozi held her babies tighter. She could not run. She could not fight. She had nothing left. Then a soft voice came through the rain. My God, what is this? An old market woman stepped inside. Her wrapper was soaking wet. She saw Ngozi on the dirty ground. She saw the two tiny babies. She dropped her basket immediately. She rushed to Ngozi's side. My daughter, she said with a shaking voice. Who did this to you? Ngozi could not speak. She just held her babies and cried. The old woman took off her own dry wrapper. She wrapped it around the two tiny babies. She rubbed their small, cold bodies fast. Stay with me, she told Ngozi firm. Do not close your eyes. That night the old woman saved 3 lives. Her name was Mama Chioma. She carried Ngozi to her small wooden house, through the cold rain, through the thick mud, without stopping once. She fed Ngozi hot pepper soup. The soup was thick and warm and spicy. The smell filled the whole small room. It pushed the cold out of Ngozi's bones. In the morning, Ngozi opened her eyes. Both babies were breathing soft and slow, their tiny chests going up and down, their small fingers curled like little fists. Ngozi touched each tiny face gently. She wept quietly. Thank you, Mama Chioma. You saved our lives. Mama Chioma held her hand tight. Now you save theirs, she said simply. Those 5 words changed everything. Ngozi wiped her tears. She looked at her 2 babies. The boy had Obi's exact face. The girl had Obi's exact eyes. But they would never be Obi. They would be greater. Ngozi pressed her lips to each tiny forehead. I will build you an empire, she whispered. I will make you kings. And she did exactly that. She started sewing again 1 week later. Her fingers were still weak and sore, but she pushed through every pain. She sewed day and night. She saved every single coin. She learned about real estate from old newspapers. She bought her first small plot of land. Then another. Then another. Her fashion business grew fast. Her real estate business grew faster. She named her company the Ngozi Empire. It spread across 5 African countries. In 15 years, Ngozi became the most powerful woman in Africa. Her twins grew up like royalty. Cold. Sharp. Unstoppable. They wore the finest Ankara. They rode in the finest cars. They sat at the top of the biggest boardrooms in Africa. But they never forgot the mud. They never forgot the cold rain. They never forgot what was done to their mother. And the day of reckoning was coming very fast. 15 years passed like a sharp wind. Obi was still living large. He had a big white mansion, 3 expensive cars in the compound, fine suits in every color. Stella was always by his side, dripping in gold jewelry, wearing the finest lace fabric. She threw big parties every weekend. She spent Obi's money like water. Fast and careless and wasteful. Obi saw nothing wrong. He was blind with pride. He thought the money would never finish. He thought he was untouchable. But Stella had a secret. A very dark and dangerous secret. She had been moving Obi's money quietly. Small amounts at first. Then bigger amounts. Then everything. She moved it all into a fake investment company. A smooth-talking man named Emeka promised her double returns. He wore fine suits and drove a big car. He showed her fake documents and fake certificates. Stella believed every single word. She convinced Obi to put everything in. His savings, his properties, his business accounts. All of it. Trust me, baby. Stella told Obi. In 6 months we will be billionaires. Obi smiled and signed every paper. Then one Monday morning everything changed. Emeka's office was empty. His phone was off. His car was gone. The fake company had vanished overnight. Every single coin was gone. Stella screamed and pulled her hair. She ran to the office building. But there was nothing there, just empty walls and dirty floors. She called Emeka 1,000 times. Nothing. Silence. Then the bank letters started coming, one after another, cold and final. The first letter took the cars. The second letter took the business. The third letter took the big white mansion. Obi stood outside his own gate, watching strangers carry his furniture out. His fine suits were now wrinkled and dirty. His expensive shoes were worn and cracked. Stella stood beside him, shaking. Her gold jewelry was already sold. Her fine lace fabric was torn and dirty. She had nothing left on her body but shame. Obi looked at the empty mansion with dead eyes. Everything Ngozi had helped him build was gone. Every sacrifice she made was wasted. Every drop of her blood was thrown away for nothing. Obi sat down on the dirty ground outside his gate, and he wept like a small child. But nobody came. Nobody cared. The same people who ate at his table walked past him fast. They did not even look at him, and Stella stood over him with empty hands. The woman he chose over his pregnant wife, the woman he threw his babies away for, she had nothing left to give him, nothing at all. He threw away a loyal woman for a greedy one, and look what that greedy woman did to him. Keep watching. The big white mansion was gone. The fine cars were gone. The gold jewelry was gone. Everything was gone. Obi and Stella had nothing left. No house. No money. No food. They slept under a bridge that first night. The ground was cold and hard. It smelled of old rubbish and dirty water. Rats ran past their feet in the dark. Stella cried all night long. Her fine lace wrapper was now brown with dirt. Her painted nails were broken and muddy. She looked nothing like the woman who threw baby clothes in the mud. Obi lay on the hard ground and stared at the dark sky. He could not sleep. He could not eat. He could not think straight. His mind kept going back to one night. A cold, rainy night. A big iron gate. A pregnant woman begging in the mud. He pushed that thought away fast. But it kept coming back. Every single night. In the morning they had nothing to eat. Stella looked at Obi with hollow eyes. "I am hungry," she said dry. Obi said nothing. He had no answer. He had no money. He had no plan. A market woman passed by with hot akara. The smell of the hot fried beans hit them hard. Stella reached out her hand to beg. The same hand that once dripped with gold rings. The market woman looked at her with pity. She gave them 2 small pieces and walked away fast. Stella ate without shame. Obi ate in silence. This was their life now. After 1 week under the bridge, a man offered them work. Washing cars on the street, morning to night in the burning sun, for very little money. Obi looked at the dirty sponge in the man's hand. He thought of his fine suits. He thought of his big parties. He thought of the men who called him boss. Then he thought of his empty stomach. He took the dirty sponge, and he knelt down in the hot street, and he started to scrub. Stella knelt beside him. Her knees hit the hard, dirty ground. She picked up a dirty bucket. She scrubbed without a word. The burning sun hit their backs hard. People walked past and stared. Some laughed. Some took pictures. Some shook their heads. But nobody helped. Day after day they washed cars in the hot sun. Dirty water splashed on their faces. Mud covered their hands and knees. This was the life they had built for themselves, with their own greed, with their own cruelty. And every night Obi closed his eyes and heard the sound of a big iron gate, slamming shut. In the cold rain, weeks turned into months on the street. Obi's hands were now rough and cracked. His knees were dark from kneeling on hard ground. His fine shirts were now dirty, torn rags. Stella's long painted nails were all broken. Her expensive weave was gone. Her hair was rough and dry. She wore a faded wrapper held together with a safety pin. They washed cars from sunrise to sunset every day. Some days they earned enough for 1 small meal. Some days they earned nothing at all. Those nights they slept hungry. The burning sun showed them no mercy. The hard ground showed them no mercy. And the people walking by showed them no mercy. One hot afternoon they were working outside a very tall building. The biggest building on the whole street. It had shiny glass windows that touched the sky, gold letters above the entrance. But Obi could not read them clearly from where he knelt. He was too busy scrubbing a dirty tire. The hot street smelled of burning tar and dirty water. It burned Obi's nose in the heavy heat. The security guards came to them that morning. "You two," the big guard said, pointing at them. "There is a very important car coming today. You will wash it perfectly. Not one spot of mud, not one dirty mark. Or you get nothing." Obi nodded fast. "Yes, sir," he said quietly. The guard looked at them both with cold eyes. Then he walked away without another word. Obi and Stella knelt in the hot sun and waited. Stella's stomach was growling loud with hunger. She stared at the tall building with empty, hollow eyes. Obi's back was aching badly. His knees were burning on the hot ground. An hour passed. Then 2 hours. The sun got hotter and heavier. Sweat poured down Obi's face and neck. Then they heard it. A slow, deep engine sound coming down the street. People stopped and turned to look. The sound got louder and smoother. Then it appeared. A long white Rolls-Royce, shining like a diamond in the hot sun. It moved slow and powerful down the street, like a king entering a room. The whole street went quiet. Stella's mouth fell open slowly. She had never seen a car that beautiful in her life, not even in her richest days. The big car pulled up slowly in front of the tall building, right in front of Obi and Stella. The wheels were covered in fresh mud. The guard appeared immediately. He pointed at Obi and Stella cold and sharp. "Clean those tires. Every single spot. Now." Obi crawled forward on his knees. He picked up his dirty wet sponge. He started scrubbing the muddy white tire slowly. His cracked bleeding hands moved in slow circles, around and around. The tar smell mixed with the fresh mud smell. It filled his nose as he scrubbed, and then the car door opened slowly, and the whole street held its breath. The car door opened slow. One polished black shoe stepped out, then another. A young man stood up straight. He was tall and broad. He wore a sharp Royal Ankara suit, diamonds on his wrist, gold on his neck. He looked straight ahead with cold, calm eyes. The crowd stared at him. Obi was still scrubbing the muddy tire. His head was down. His cracked hands moved in slow circles. Then the other car door opened. A young woman stepped out. She wore a long Royal Ankara dress, gold earrings down to her shoulders. Her back was straight. Her face was calm and powerful. The crowd murmured softly. Obi kept scrubbing. He did not look up. Stella watched the two young people with hollow eyes. Something felt strange to her, something she could not name. The young man looked down at the street slowly. His cold eyes moved across the crowd. Then they stopped. They landed on Obi. He stared at the old man on his knees, scrubbing mud in the hot street. The young man's jaw tightened slowly. He did not move. He did not speak. He just watched. Then the front door of the Rolls-Royce opened. A woman stepped out last. She wore a white Ankara wrapper, diamonds in her ears. Her head was held high. Her face was calm like still water. The crowd parted for her immediately. Even the guards stepped back. Obi looked up to see why the crowd went quiet. His dirty sponge stopped moving. His cracked hand froze in the air. He saw the woman in white. His whole body went cold. He knew that face. He knew those eyes. He knew that quiet strength. "Ngozi," he whispered. The word came out broken and dry, like a dead leaf. Ngozi looked at him once, just once. Then she looked away, like he was nobody, like he was a stranger on the street. Obi's eyes filled with water. His hands began to shake badly. He looked at the young man. He had Obi's exact face. Same nose, same jaw, same forehead. He looked at the young woman. She had Obi's exact eyes. Same shape, same depth, same coldness. Obi dropped his dirty sponge. It hit the wet ground with a soft sound. His mouth opened, but nothing came out. His whole body began to shake. These were the babies. The tiny, cold babies born in the mud. The babies he locked outside in the rain. The babies he threw away like rubbish. They were standing before him, tall and powerful and cold, and they were looking at him, like he was nothing. Obi dropped to his knees in the dirt. His cracked hands hit the hot ground hard. Tears poured down his old dry face. "My children," he cried loud. "Please, it is me, your father." The young man did not move. He did not blink. He just looked down at Obi slowly, like he was looking at a dirty stone. The young woman stood beside her brother. Her face was cold and still, like carved stone. Stella crawled forward on her knees. "Please forgive us," she begged loud. "We made mistakes. We are sorry." Nobody answered her. The crowd watched in total silence. Obi reached out his shaking hand toward Ngozi. "Ngozi, please." He wept. "Look at me. I am sorry. I was wrong. Please forgive me." Ngozi looked at his shaking hand. Then she looked at his face. Her eyes were calm. Not angry. Not sad. Just empty. Like she had already buried him long ago. She said nothing. She turned and walked toward the tall building. The guards opened the big glass doors for her. She walked inside without looking back. Not once. The young man looked down at his crying father. He reached into his pocket slowly. He pulled out one crisp white handkerchief. He dropped it on the ground in front of Obi. Then he pointed at the muddy tire. His voice was low and cold like iron. "You threw our pregnant mother into the mud. You locked the gate on your unborn children. You chose greed over blood." He looked at the dirty sponge on the ground. "Now pick up that sponge. Scrub every spot of mud off our tires. And do not miss one single spot." He straightened his Ankara jacket slowly. He looked at Stella with empty eyes. "You too." Stella wept and picked up her dirty bucket. Obi picked up his dirty sponge with shaking hands. And together they scrubbed. The man who threw his pregnant wife in the mud, and the woman who threw the baby clothes in the rain, both on their knees, both in the dirt. Scrubbing the tires of the children they abandoned. The crowd watched every second. Nobody laughed. Nobody spoke. Because everybody understood. What you plant in this life you will harvest. Every tear you cause will find its way back to you. Every door you slam on the innocent will one day slam on you. Ngozi never begged for revenge. She just kept building. And God handled the rest. This is what happens when you choose greed over loyalty. Share this story with someone who needs to see real karma today.